Hello and welcome back to Roads Yet Traveled. We'll be continuing where we left off, which if you recall is right when Rhoun is going to be presenting your special vacation break place that he's taking you. This very exciting place that he is so excited to take you to. It definitely won't be underwhelming. It's definitely going to be interesting. It is. But I can't spoil it. But yeah, before that though, we spent some time working because of course, Rhoun had stuff that he needed to finish before he could take a break. Why he's taking a break right when Socknose is about to arrive and, inspect the place is anybody's guess, but like, hey, if Maruk is doing it, Merowyn is doing it in their own routes, then why can't Rhoun? Before that, we spent some time with Milo before being passed off to Kess. Because Rhoun had stuff to do. And let's just say that we definitely had a time with Kess. It was definitely a disaster. And we found out that Kess pretty much does not like Tucker at all. But he has his reasons, and those reasons will become apparent in this video. Hopefully. I know some people do not like Kess. Probably don't like Kess now because of how he reacted. But trust me, if you know a little bit more about him, you might understand the circumstances as to why he reacted that way. You may not forgive him for reacting that way, but at least you can understand why he feels that way. Anyways, but yeah, so without further ado, let us continue. Well, I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to be looking at here. It kinda just looks like another piece of machinery and... oh no. I don't know how it took me until now to finally accept it, but I think Rhoun and I have a very different idea about what might be considered interesting. Welcome to the Central Air Controller. Yay. I really should have tempered my expectations better. I guess I just got lucky with the pool day. This machine pumps air throughout the entire column. Take a deep breath. The cleanest air in the whole station is right here. He takes a mock breath, letting out a deep sigh before turning to me expectantly. Sighing, I empty my lungs before taking a deep breath in and... Well, it's certainly not mint-scented, but to his credit, it does feel a bit cleaner. At least for down in these tunnels. Wait, the cleanest on the station? Aren't there like farms and gardens here? Well, it's the cleanest recycled air. And it's definitely the cleanest in terms of particulates. Looking at the sheer amount of dust in the room, I find myself almost wanting to argue that fact. Sighing again, trying my best to hide my burgeoning disappointment, I look up to him only to be met with his sickeningly cheery smile. If he's excited about this, I should at least hear him out. Who knows, maybe I'll learn something. Capitulating, I let out a small groan before... Well, I think I was promised a tour, right? To his credit, the tour isn't boring by any means. While the room itself is far from interesting, what it means for extraplanetary life cannot be understated, and he does a great job in illustrating that. Without it, the station would only be able to sustain a crew of around 20 people, and they'd all have to be cooped up with all the plants, or so he says. One thing, however, that he almost seems insistent on ignoring is the massive blast doors on the far side of the room. The lights aren't even on over there, as if it's meant to be hidden in some dark corner of the station. And, unfortunately for Rhoun, it's very much piqued my interest. Rhoun? Sorry to interrupt, but where's that door go to? It's not the one that we came in, right? That door's an emergency exit. Kind of. Kind of. He scratches his head before turning back to the giant air conditioner. I've only noticed it now too, but his tail seems to have curled up between his legs. It leads to the spine. The what? It's a little complicated. His fingers knead into his fur as I hear him mumbling under his breath. Deciding to give him a little space, I head over and give it a look myself. The door itself looks airtight, and the monitor next to it is all dusty as the rest of the room, older looking too, but it still looks functional. Brushing it off, I can see faint lights appear as it slowly turns on. I still can't read any of it, but I can see a reader for a card, and hesitantly think to try my own. Turning back, I see Rhoun still taking a moment to himself, and decide to give it a shot. For a second I thought that might work. I'm glad to see the locks are still in place. I let out a small gasp as Rhoun appears over my shoulder, forgetting how well he can sneak up on me. It requires two-factor identification to get in. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have tried. I was just... humoring me? What? No, I know that this isn't particularly interesting to you, Tucker. I'm sorry. He tilts his head back towards the room. I thought maybe once you got here and saw it that maybe... I don't know. Reaching out, I grab his arm, giving it a few stern pats. Rhoun, don't say that. I enjoyed your tour, really. As his eyes meet mine, I can see how sullen they've become in the past few minutes. We do have different interests, you're right. I think that's okay though, and I'm thankful that you shared yours with me. But it's a good thing to talk about it if we do this again. He lets out a small gasp, almost escaping as a whine, causing me to mentally backtrack through what I said. Oh, I know what it was. When we do this again. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Tucker. I'm glad that you enjoyed the tour. I did, Rhoun, really. But, I get it. Let me see what I can do. Walking over to the console, he flips a few switches, causing a rudimentary monitor to appear in front of him. Swiping his ID, he scrolls through a few pages before. Hello? Who the fuck is at break door 5? Hey, Cass. Cap? What are you doing down there? I didn't see any repairs on the schedule for air control. Did you get locked in somehow? No. Cass, do you think that you could give me the overrides to the door here? What? Why? Well, I was giving a tour of central air control and, A tour? No, wait a tick. You don't mean... We'll be quick. He just wants to see what's behind the door. There is silence on the other end of the line for a while before... This is stupid, Rhoun. You know that, right? I know. He'll be with me the whole time. I promise. I'm not worried about him. They make no attempt to hide the venom in their tone. When's the last time that you were in there? Are you sure that you want to? Kess, please. Don't make me ask again. I hear a sigh coming from the other end of the call before there's a deafening snapping sound behind me, and the door shakes as dust is kicked up into the air. Primary locks disengaged, awaiting confirmation of secondary ID. Confirmation received. Upon swiping his card, I'm almost worried when nothing happens, but then, oh so slowly, the door starts to creak open. I'm more so shocked when a rogue gale comes by, almost knocking me over as all the dust in the room is kicked up in a flurry. I guess that explains the state of the room, but what is this? I see only darkness in the hallway ahead, that and but a few pilot lights leading me deeper. Slightly less impressed, Rhoun turns to me and gestures down the tunnel, only offering a, "Go on ahead. There's another door at the end of this hall. I'll catch up," before turning back to the monitor. A little worried about walking down the hallway myself, I get a few steps inside before stopping, hearing the monitor crackle to life once again. "Are you still there, Cap?" "Yeah. Look, I'm sorry, Are you sure you want to do this? It's been so long since you've been down there, and I just thought..." "Do you need me to come down? I'm at the hub right now. It'll only take like half a mark. We could..." Another sigh. "Just promise me that you'll message me later, okay? I've been... worried." The monitor shuts off and Rhoun lets out a sigh before collecting his things and turning the corner. I can tell that he's a bit shocked to see me waiting for him though, as he almost drops the bag when he notices me leaning against one of the support pillars. "I said that you could go on ahead, bud." You, have the only flashlight." He looks at the device in his paws, letting out a small huff of frustration. Did you hear any of that?" "Not if you don't want me to have." "I'd appreciate that." "Should we even be doing this? If this is dangerous, we can just turn back. Really." His eyes slowly pace about the room, moving slowly behind an uncertain expression. "It's perfectly safe. Now more so than ever. It's just... you'll see." "Do you even want to do this, bud?" I can basically see his heart rate spike as his breath cuts through the cold air. Fortunately and almost surprisingly, he manages to compose himself pretty quickly, brushing a furred paw over his eyes, replying, "No. But I need to do this. It's been too long." More confused than ever, I simply nod before gesturing to the long dark ahead of us and start walking. It's not a long walk, just under a minute or two, but the encroaching darkness certainly made it feel worse. Coming to a similar door, I'm almost worried that we're gonna have to message Kes again before Rhoun simply swipes his card and it begins to slowly groan open. Walking into the new room, I'm shocked as a breeze washes over my exposed skin, giving me an immediate chill. I still can't see anything, but as Rhoun flicks a few switches behind me, some dim security lights pop on and... But by the fucking void. Walking further into the room, I lean against the handrail and stare into the massive maw laid out before me. I'm not sure how much time passes, but eventually I'm joined by my companion as he somberly leans up next to me. I'll be honest, I kind of forgot how big it was myself." "What is it?" "It's a gravity well." He says this with such certainty in his voice that I almost find it insulting. "What?" "Oh, right. My understanding is that it's like a latch for the May run to hook onto. As the energy flows up, or down, through the station, these tunnels make sure that there are no compression issues. They're one of the main reasons this place doesn't get pulled apart. Well, that and the support struts, and the emergency thrusters, and the electromagnetic ring, and..." Okay. So, what is it though? "It's a really big pit. Each column has one. Most of the larger stations out there actually have gravity wells. They might not all have a May run, but most still have some kind of rudimentary gravitational field. Well, except for the ones around Io, Listlessly, I hold my arm out over the pit, and a strong breeze blows it up. It feels strange, though. Like no wind that I've ever felt before. It's unnerving, to say the least. Io has stations like this? Not exactly. But yeah, why? I figured that they wouldn't be comfortable with that after the Icaroid incident. I didn't know that you knew about that. But, yeah, there are a few. They're for housing mostly. I mean, where's everyone supposed to live otherwise, right? On the ground? He looks at me as though I said something so preposterous, and yet he's the one talking about all this crazy shit. You know about the Icaroid incident, but not the Ascension program? Merowyn only mentioned the accident, so no. What are you talking about? Maybe I should let him explain it then. Since I don't really know what he already told you, and... My expression swiftly silences him. Well, you're aware that Io has a bit of an overpopulation, right? A bit? Why? Well, the best solution at the time was to build up, you know? Move into cities, build larger buildings, that kind of stuff. But when that didn't work, well, they built up. Again. They built the plates. Massive floating city-sized platforms that house most of the population of the planet. How has this not come up before? Why didn't you tell me? Me? Tucker, I'm not from the plates. I was born on the ground. And I guess Merowyn didn't think that it was relevant to, well, whatever it is that he tells you. Can you tell me about them? Rowan's worried expression seems to melt away as his tail brushes up against the back of my jacket. Well, what do you want to know? Literally anything. I'm sorry, I'm still in shock. What was it like living under a floating city? Well, they were pretty far away from New Sela. They learned their lesson after the Icaroid incident. But sometimes they'd cover areas and it'll be cloudy for a day or so. Did you ever visit them? For a short while when I worked on some Socknos projects, it wasn't too different than living here, really. I was just a junior repair worker then. Oh, that's a lot less idyllic than what I had in mind. I guess they were made out of necessity rather than for luxury. So, why'd you leave then? Even with the plates, Io is still pretty crowded, especially in cities. There was an opportunity aboard a Sockno station, so I took it. The pay was a lot better too. As much as I have my grievances with the company, their hazard pay pays. Can't fault the guy for trying to make a living. Do you miss it? I mean, I know you miss the plants at least. Yeah. But, not a lot, honestly. Maybe I miss the sea. New Sela is a coastal city, and some of the days the breeze would carry the smell of the ocean for miles. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy here. Even though it's cold? Everywhere has its issues, Tucker. Even back home, I felt absent from my own life at times. At least here, sometimes, I don't feel like that. Anyways, I could always move to Reich if I really wanted to. And deal with the rain? Who sold you on that? Milo. His family has a farm there. Wait, he's from Reich? Yeah? Is that weird? No, I don't know. For some reason, that's shocking to me. I guess he doesn't talk about it unless he's prompted to. Most of the crew is from Io, so I can understand the trepidation. You should ask him about it sometimes. I'm sure that he'd appreciate it. Is there a certain stigma against non-Ailean crew members? Maybe a bit. It's nothing bad, just there are certain social cues that are different between the planets. And since most of the crew is Ailean, it's a bit harder to break into some circles. It's probably why Kess doesn't get along well with some of the crew. Yeah, I'm sure that's why. Wait, what do you mean by that? Oh, Kess is from Urion. Oh, okay. Are they alright? What do you mean? About earlier. They seemed, well... Rhoun sighs, cupping his paws together as he leans over the railing. They're just worried, Tucker. This place... It's locked down for a reason. His jaw twists under his muzzle, and the hair on his neck gets messier and messier as he retracts into his massive coat. Should I be? He lets out a small huff, or perhaps a laugh, but it's hard to tell. Slowly he turns to me, his emerald eyes playing softly in the pale light. No, never. Anything that happened here can't hurt you now, he says before lifting a massive claw and gently adjusting my collar. Still confused as ever, I turn on the railing, facing him head on now as he sighs again and lets out a small chuckle. His ears flick as he leans back and looks up into the darkness, his eyes tracing something that I could never even hope to see until... This is one of the rooms where it happened. What is that? Oh. I stay silent, only creeping closer as he continues. Whenever an incident occurs, one of the first things we usually check is if the air pumps are working. It makes sense. Really. What's the crew going to do if they can't breathe? So when the emergency alarms went off, well, we knew where we were headed. He raises his claw, tracing a map out before us. I still remember the route that I took. I try to retrace it sometimes, but I never get very far. I get sidetracked, I guess. Lowering his paw, he grips the railing and finds himself brushing up against a synthetic bicep. I was only a supervisor at the time. I was actually starting to worry that I wouldn't get any further than that. That I was stuck. I guess I got what I wanted. Rhoun. Don't say that. There were so many others, Tucker. I still don't know how I was the only... My hand finally finds purchase as I reach up and grab his shoulder, squeezing it firmly. His eyes snap to me, and I suddenly find myself unable to provide any words of comfort in the face of such despair. His jaw aches as he slowly lets out. I would have been here too, if I hadn't... He shrugs away my hand as a bolt shoots up his spine, causing a slight shiver to rack his form. I keep trying to play that route over and over my head. Just trying to see if anything could be different, and maybe I could have changed something, but it's always the same. I just get stuck. His grip tightens on the railing further as the knobs on his shoulder glow brighter and brighter, whirling a furiously pale blue. A sudden creak lurches out into the room as the metal bends like putty under the weight of his grief. I'm always stuck. On my words, in life, in my head. I just don't know what to do and I just... Thoughts are worthless things in the face of abject nothingness. When you try and form words but nothing comes, but more ruthless ideas, all stepping over each other to aimlessly try to be the first one that forms something cognizant. And yet, there is still nothing that I could say. We're stuck together. His eyes, bleary and unfocused, manage to lock onto me as he slowly loosens his grip on the rail. I felt the same way on Earth, and even here I'm just... stuck. I know what it's like to think that you have nowhere to go and no possible way of going forwards. Of moving on. I do, really. I worry about you, Rhoun. You're so kind and you care so much about your crew, and I just... Reaching out again, I brush up against his paw, almost nervous to touch it after what I just saw. It's hard for me to know how to approach these things, and... My heart rate spikes as I hear the familiar whirl wind up before his arm moves like a bolt end. Finds its way to my back, pulling me immediately into his open chest. I let out a small sigh before doing my best to worm my arms around him and hold him close, burying myself in his jacket. Oh so carefully, he rubs my back with his mechanical arm while the other gently holds the base of my neck into his collar. He's enticingly warm, and despite his heavy breathing, that faint earthy smell lingers even now. The fur on his neck just barely tickles my ears as he rests his head on mine, letting out a few croaky and shuddering breaths. A few weak tears drip onto my shoulders as I do my best to comfort him before he squeezes me tight and backs off. Wiping off his eyes, he looks down at me and can only faintly smile. I'm sorry, Tucker. I should have done this cycles ago. I kept putting it off. I shouldn't be bothering you with this. Rhoun, it's okay. I can always listen if you need me to. I'd like that. Maybe some other time, though. Right now, I just want to be here. I nod as we wordlessly take in the space, just enjoying existing in the present. A dull echo claws its way up from below as that eerie synthetic breeze blows through my unkempt hair. After a few good minutes, Rhoun gently nudges my arm and informs me that he's gonna smoke, and it would be a good time to walk around and check out the place if I wanted to. I graciously accept and just warn him to maybe not flick the butt so far away this time. He gets a chuckle out of that. Walking around the exterior of the pit turns out to be a bit more hazardous than I would have imagined though, as the walkway is strewn with pipes and cables just laying about all over the damn place. I should have expected as much, but still, not wanting to go too far, I'm sure to keep the dim light of Rhoun's cigarette in sight. Although I'm pretty sure that this place is a circle, so it'd be more impressive if I got lost rather than anything. There's still that deep echoing noise coming from below that I can only assume is the creaking of the ship's hull against whatever stellar currents are battling against us. Or worse, whatever's down there. Sighing, I take a mental note of how far I've made it and head back, only to see Rhoun coughing out the last bits of smoke before snubbing out his light. Smothering a chuckle, I saddle up next to him again and look out into the pit with him, content to just be in the moment. Eventually, after letting out a few pathetic small coughs, he pats me on the back and gestures to the door. Nodding, I go to collect our stuff only to notice something off to the side that I must have missed on the way in. Nestled next to our bags is a small display of some kind, with a few things scattered around it haphazardly. I'd write it off as a sign, but it's on the ground and not very visible in the dim light. Rhoun? What's this? He doesn't respond at first as he kneels down and reaches into his bag. I hear some predictable clattering before he pulls out what looks like a broken serval, although with small bits and bobs haphazardly attached to it. Is that something that he made? Bud? Oh, right. Gently, he places it down in front of the sign, and pulls out a few cigarettes from his coat pocket, placing them beside it. It's, well, I'm not sure of the mortuary practices of your species, but when someone passes, we like to leave these to remember them by. It's, oh, it's a shrine. Oh, of course, bud. That's not uncommon for us to. Although, why is it here? It seems a bit, tucked away. Well, this is where it happens, so... There are more, but it's not like this is the only one. Should I do something, or... You don't have to do anything, bud. I'm not really prepared myself either. I'm lucky I had anything to leave at all. Looking back to the shrine, he kneads his paws on his knees as something bruised behind his eyes. I'm not even sure what I should say. Maybe tell them that you'll be back soon? Yeah, I think I will. Nodding his head gently, he mutters something under his breath before sighing and sitting up. Clasping his hands together in a fairly strange manner, he sits silently for a few minutes, breathing heavily. I'm almost worried that this whole ordeal has completely sullied our already tenuous enjoyment of our day off, until a faint smile creeps its way onto his muzzle. Swallowing down some final words, he manages to get up, propping himself up against the wall. I can barely even see the shrine now that the light from his arms isn't gently dancing along its edges. Looking up though, I can see the faint smile still hasn't left his face as he stares me dead in the eyes and scoffs, before gesturing to the door. Did he mean for that to be so... well, either way, the tension at the moment is cut completely dry as I realize that he's walking away without his belongings. Bud? You forgetting something? What? Are you not coming? His smile turns into a slight grimace as I nudge the bag with my foot. Oh, right. Walking over, he reaches up his fat mechanical paw and ruffles my hair, not even stopping when I faux bat it away and nab his bag. His bag that he decidedly did not zip up earlier. I think we both hear the sound of tools falling before either of us really knows what's happening. Quickly turning around, and amongst the clattering, I see boxes fly open and wrenches go amiss, but something catches my eye in particular. One of the air filters from earlier seems determined to make its way off the edge as it starts bouncing and rolling towards the well at the center of the room. In a flash, blue light whirls past me as Rhoun drops his bag and lunges for the thing. I have only time to grasp before he reaches a little too far and... Rhoun? He's gone. Rushing to the edge, I try and yell out as I lean over the railing only to hear the sound of rustling wind and... What? A little help, bud? I thought you... And you were... What's going on? Well, I don't think that I can explain the physics of it, but I thought I told you. This is a gravity well. The things get a little weird when the May run is turned off. Was I supposed to know what you meant by that? Did you know that this would happen? I was like... 90% sure. Rhoun! 95? Please don't ever do that again. Right. Tucker? Yeah? Do you think that you could help me get down? What? Pathetically, he starts paddling his arms with little to no effect as he remains motionless in the air. Yeah, he really thought this through, huh? You know, I'm pretty tempted to leave you here after pulling that stunt. How do you normally get down? Normally you aren't supposed to jump into a gravity well. There should be something in my bag. Maybe you can figure something out? Tucker? Oh, I'm sorry. I was just enjoying the view. His face scrunches into a barely annoyed frown as his tail idly wags behind him, relieving far more of his feelings than he could ever. Chuckling to myself, I dig through his mostly empty bag and find an old cable that seems long enough. Tying off one of the ends to the railing, it takes a few attempts before he manages to snag the other end and pulls himself in. It seems as though the effect is stronger towards the center of the pit though, as when he gets closer he's barely scrambling over the railing. Sorry about that, bud. It's fine. Just, please. Please don't scare me like that again, okay? Right. Sorry. But look, I saved the filter. What? Rhoun? I think that's one of the broken ones. Fuck. Laughing together, we clean up the mess and promptly head out, taking the proper procedures to lock the massive gates behind us. Fortunately, it doesn't require any calls this time, as Rhoun swipes his ID and puts in a few quick lines into the console before they slam shut behind us. Once the dust settles and we've both had a last moment to stare at the blast doors, we head off into the tunnels one last time, determined to head home and take a shower. Are you feeling better about tomorrow at all? I know you still got a few things to take care of, but maybe it won't be that bad? Tomorrow? What's tomorrow? The Socknose crew shows up, don't they? Oh, right. I guess it's not that bad, for me at least. Most of the time, maintenance doesn't really need to talk to anyone. Usually engineering takes care of that. The last time a Socknose representative came and tried to inspect one of the systems we maintain, they ended up getting lost for almost 8 marks. So, normally they stay out of our way. Seriously? Yeah. It was kind of funny until they threatened to try and get most of my crew fired for not maintaining the lights down there. They worked just fine. I think they were just upset. But, that just goes to say that Socknose usually stays out of our way. I'm more worried about all the work orders that I've gotten from the professor that I need to finish. If he can't get his work done, well, then it does become my problem. I can see that. I'll check the reports when I get back to the room, but I'm hoping that we're almost done. Honestly, Tucker, I'm more worried about you. Me? Yeah. Don't you think that they're going to want to, meet you? And well, I don't know, run experiments and stuff? I think that they're just here to clean up Tyr's mess. We don't even know if they know that I even exist yet. Oh, well, I wouldn't put it past them, Tucker. Maybe just see how busy it gets. And if it's too much, you could always... Fumbling with his keys, he slots the right one and lets us into our room. You could always stay in here for a few days, or maybe down in the tunnels if you really needed to. I'm not so sure that it's gonna come to that. But yeah, I'll keep an eye out if anything gets weird. Good. The maintenance team is already so tight on members. We can't go losing another so soon. I'm not sure that I'd go as far as to say that I'm a valued member of the team just yet. I barely know how to replace fuses properly. You are important, Tucker. I promise. Dropping his bag, he moves closer, cutting the distance between us to just under a foot as he reaches around and pats my shoulder with his good paw. I'm gonna go clean up. Is that alright? Of course, bud. Just leave it on for me, okay? He shyly nods and walks past me, his tail brushing up against my side as he goes. The fur brushes up against my shirt, just tickling some exposed flesh as it leaves a lingering feeling that I try to hold on to until... What am I even doing? Am I really this touch-starved? I mean, just a mark ago I was holding him close and... My whole body feels flush as I think of it for more than a few seconds, having to immediately relegate some of my thoughts away from wherever they were headed. Coughing into my fist and making sure the door is still closed, I start to get undressed and throw my dusty clothes into the communal hamper. While placing a few things aside for tomorrow, I notice that Rhoun's little stuffed toy is laying on the ground next to his boots. I kind of forgot about this guy. I guess he's always buried away under the blankets or something. Gently picking him up, I give him a good once-over and put him back before a thought creeps over me. Turning the toy around, I stare it directly in its beady little eyes before straightening some of its ruffled hair and fixing his little mane. His tiny paws are so soft. The toy is quite large, almost taking up my whole chest as I gently squeeze the thing. I almost can't help but slowly bring him closer and... Is this what it would be like? Without the jacket in the way? He's so soft. Wrapping my arms further around the little toy, I rest my head on his and cradle him gently. The top of his ears tickle my nose as I can't stop myself from rubbing my nose into his dense fur. He even smells like him. That same deep earthy smell, like a forest after rain. Unsure of what my body is doing anymore, I lean into whatever desires have come over me and dig even deeper into the toy. It's almost as warm as the embrace that we found ourselves in earlier. You're so soft,
The
bud.
shower's ready for you, bud.
Did you need something to, sleep with? No, I was just... The shower's ready, yeah? His perplexed expression doesn't budge an inch as he scratches the back of one of his ears. He opens his mouth to say something but seems to think better of it as he just scoffs and steps aside a bit. Placing the stuffy down, I can barely squeeze past him, awkwardly avoiding eye contact. The last thing that I hear before the door closes are the sounds of Rhoun walking over to his bed, picking up the toy himself and murmuring and utterly perplexed. Huh? Taking a mark-long shower has given me time to think. It probably wasn't the best move to get caught squeezing the life out of Rhoun's emotional support plushie, nor was it really wise to be thinking about him the whole time that I was doing it. He's not a suspicious guy. He probably just thought that I wanted to see how it felt or something. Tapping my fingers on the glass, I let the water run over my back as I've long since cleaned and have already become numb to the heat. By the void, I should have known better. What an end to an already tumultuous day. I'll be lucky if he doesn't think that I'm some freak at this point. Alright, I'm pruny enough. I should get out before I use all the station's water reserves. Drying off and slipping into my pajamas, I summon whatever courage I can and head out into the other room. The lights are still on. That's... good? Maybe? Peeking around the corner, I notice him sitting on the side of his bed, messing with his arm. It seems like one of the panels is open again, as he's tinkering with something. Taking a deep breath, I walk over to my own bed, hang up the towel, and arrange my pillows and sheets for the night. I hear some rummaging going on behind me, but try and think nothing of it until... Bud? Yeah? Slowly, I turn around, only to notice Rhoun standing behind me, holding the toy in one of his paws. I found myself immediately panicking until I notice that he seems... fine? It's always a little hard to tell with Rhoun, as his expression usually is more dour than anything, but right now he just seems... embarrassed? Maybe that's far from fine, but it's better than what I was expecting. Not wanting to interrupt, I give him a minute as he locks eyes with me and immediately fumbles what he was planning on saying next. His fingers knead into the little replica until he can bear it no longer, holding the little guy up for me and letting out an almost pathetically soft, "You can have this if you need it." What? His mouth goes agape, as I don't think that that's what he was expecting to hear. With a slack jaw, he looks down at the little toy before looking back at me, desperately trying to form some semblance of a sentence. Truly though, it's not long before he breathes in and gives it his best shot, letting out an utterly confused, "Is that not what you wanted?" "No, but I was just... don't think about it. I can tell it's important to you. I just wanted to see how soft he was." It's a white lie, truly. But at this point, I'll do anything to end this conversation. I feel awkward enough as it is. Holding the little toy against his chest, he tilts his head to the side and scrunches his muzzle up as his eyes wander, letting out a soft sigh. "Well, if you want one, I'm sure that I could get something for you. Probably better to get it from me than how I got it." "Oh, Socknos usually sends gift baskets to injured workers and, well, this guy is a well-known regular. It's kind of a running joke at this point. They're probably made more of these toys than they have working engines." I can see his arms tighten around the thing as I desperately want to reach out, but after today, I can barely tell what the mood is at all. It's been so up and down, and yet all I want to do is hug him and tell him that it'll be alright, but with Socknos coming tomorrow, I'm not sure I can. Tucker?" "Yeah, bud?" "Thank you for today." "Huh?" "For hanging out with me. I really enjoyed it." "Well, I guess that answers that." "Yeah, I'm glad that we got to hang out too, bud. Let's do it again." As the words escape my lips, his eyes go wide and a breath gets caught in his throat, but not for long, as he lets out a small huff and smiles, his tail wagging gently behind him. There is a small pause in the room, as some thoughts flicker behind his eyes before he reaches out and brushes my hair again, only to reach up and mess it up further. Stunned, I can't do much but stare as he walks a few feet away and turns off the lights. Letting out a small chuckle, he calmly says, "Get some rest tonight, bud," before crawling under the blankets and wrapping himself around the toy, which suddenly looks so small in his arms. With his tail thumping under the blankets and the soft giggles I hear coming from his bed, I can only wonder if he's just taunting me at this point. Rhoun's usually not the malicious type, but if he was trying to fuck with me, he certainly succeeded. I haven't been able to find any kind of rest from the past mark. I've just been kneading my sheets and rolling back and forth, just trying to doze off. But nothing comes. It's just a stream of today's events played over and over again in my mind, the good and the bad, all of it with him. I can't stop thinking about that room. He brought me there, and for what? Because I asked? He didn't have to do that, and yet, would he have let anyone else see that? No, surely not. It's probably just because I asked. Is it because I'm his roommate? Or his friend? By the fucking eye. I can't torture myself like this. Not at this hour. Not when he's 5 fucking feet from me. It's not like I can do anything else though. Focus on tomorrow. Focus on tomorrow. Focus on tomorrow. What the fuck am I even doing tomorrow? I'm probably just gonna get left behind again. But that's alright. It might be safer that way. Maybe I'll text Milo and see what he's doing. This would be so much easier if I had just some answers. If any of us knew what the fuck was going on, maybe this wouldn't be such an issue. But no, the only person who knows anything seems pretty intent on keeping it that way. And it's not like we can just walk into her office and ask her. The thought is so insane that it quite literally jolts me awake as I sit up straight in my bed. My eyes glance at Rhoun, who's sleeping on his side with one arm still holding onto the stuffed toy, before shooting to my pants on the nightstand. Silently standing up, I creep over before emptying the contents of the pockets into my hand, only to catch the only thing in there. An Icaroi 2 terminal key. I think I know my schedule tomorrow. And, as it turns out, I have a very important meeting with the captain. Day 20. Waking up with a groan, I slowly raise myself up and rub my eyes. What fucking mark is it? Rolling to the side of the bed, I throw my legs off and look around the room. I seem to be missing someone. Hello? No response. Maybe that's for the best though, especially considering what I'm planning on doing. It's not like he could really stop me, but I doubt that it would make his day any easier. Is this really a good idea? No, decidedly not, but I think that I need to do it anyways. Hey, I mean, maybe she'd be impressed that I'm taking the initiative or something, or she could always take my terminal key away. I doubt that she'd do that. Hanging my head between my legs, I rest motionless for a few ticks before checking my monitor. It's only the 10th mark. He must have just gone to finish preparing for the day, so I guess that confirms my plans as well. If I don't have to go to work, I might as well go get in trouble. Stepping into the shower, I do my best to make myself presentable. Phone in hand, I take one last look around before settling on the lonely wallet laying on the desk. I've stopped carrying it around, as my key doesn't really fit into it, and it's not like I've needed to pay for anything recently. Still, it feels wrong. Picking it up, I pull out my student ID. I get a little bleary-eyed looking at it, but I manage to hold myself together. She was right though. I have changed. It's not been a month here and things are already so different than they were before. Harder? Maybe better. That's unclear. But they're different. Slipping the ID back into my wallet, I throw it into my backpack for safekeeping and head out, determined to make it there before I change my mind. Coming to the security partition though, I feel my monitor beep as I get a message. Sorry, I did it again. Did what? I left without telling you. Rolling my eyes and letting out a playful huff, I respond. It's fine, bud. Are you alright? Just busy. Going to get out of service soon. If you want to help out today, Milo could probably use you. He's fixing more fuses. Otherwise, well... Sending a short reply, I tell him that I'm thinking about relaxing for a little while longer, and then I might reach out. Speaking of reaching out, should I maybe have made an appointment first? This has all kinds of been spur of the moment. Do I really think that I can just waltz into her office and ask her what's going on? I mean, the less that I think about it, the less that I'll panic about it, but I really should think about something. What do I even ask her about though? I know that I want to ask about the executive coming today, but is it too late for that? I mean, they'll be here in a few marks, so maybe I shouldn't bother? I could always try to see if she'd tell me more about what else is going on around here. I know Saknos doesn't just show up for fun, and I know the May run is on the fritz too, so... what did we talk about last time anyways? I was a bit out of it. We talked about me and my new job, why I was here and some other shit like that, and... Oh fuck, and the eye. I should probably think of an answer for her about that. Slouching, I meander through the walls, seemingly ignored by most of the Karain here, who seem far too worried about their own affairs today. I guess a surprise inspection will do that to you. Slipping past a few crowds, I make my way towards Merowyn's lab and the elevators beyond. I guess we really didn't talk about too much the last time that we met. It was mostly just about me. I mean, I learned a bit about the May run, but that's it. Would she even be interested in talking about anything else? Actually, I distinctly remember her saying that she wouldn't mind just chatting sometimes, so... I'm not sure if now counts as some time, but I haven't got a better option. Walking past Merowyn's office, making sure that no one inside spots me, I make my final approach to the elevators. Really though, our first meeting was fairly short, not that I'm expecting to take up too much of her time today, but I wouldn't mind setting up an actual meeting to just talk sometime. I know her sheer presence scares Rhoun to death, but I don't think that she minds it too much. I mean, she might just see me as an oddity or an opportunity, but she wouldn't be the first. And really, it'd be more beneficial for all of us if I can get on her good side. Stepping into the elevator, I hit the top few buttons and wait for the doors to close. Fairly sure that I'll end up on the right floor eventually. Maybe I'm too excited about this. This could all go bad really fast. I mean, I barely know her. And the last time that we met, she basically toyed with me for half a mark before even laying her eyes on me. Ugh. As the elevator flies up, I can't help but feel a distant feeling of panic begin to weigh on me. I could head back, see if I could maybe do something else, or... There's only a second for the inkling of fear to form before the doors fly open, and I see I'm on the right floor. Well, here we go again. Walking through the executive halls feels strange. In stark contrast to the crowds down below, it's dead silent up here. Not even a rogue accountant bustling about with a sheaf of paper or something. Closing in on my destination, I can't help but feel a bit better, perhaps just because I'm resigned myself to whatever it is that I'm doing. Or maybe because deep down I know that this is the right decision. Stepping off to the side, I fix my hair a bit and straighten my jacket before approaching the final hallway. What a fucking gaudy door. And worst of all, I know that it's going to be heavy too. Pushing through, I manage to get inside without much hassle as a cold breeze invites me into the waiting room. Although, I'm not sure how long I intend on staying put here. Hello? The voice of our receptionist picks up as I walk through the door. The white dog with floppy ears stares down at me for a few moments before brazenly adding, "Do you have an appointment?" "Nope," is all I can offer as I head towards the doors at the back of the room. Pulling out my terminal key, I swipe it on the keypad and am returned with a resounding, "Why did I think that would work?" From behind me there's but a small chuckle before, "I'm sure if you want to make an appointment you could always... hold on. I apologize. You can go in now. She's been expecting you." Suddenly the lights on the door go green and they creak open. Wasting no time, I step into the liminal room before taking one last moment to calm myself as I open the door to her office. I don't make it far before she speaks up, but at least she's facing me this time. "You've managed to pick quite the bad time to show up, Tucker. If you were anyone else, I wouldn't even let you in, but considering you're our guest here, I can afford you a mark or so." How generous. I honestly thought that it'd be another week or so until you showed up. And using your key on my door? I'm impressed that you'd even try. And here I thought I needed an invitation. And did you wait for one? Clearly a suggestion at best. I have a feeling that I need to read between the lines on that one. I roll my eyes as I sit down in the oversized chair, doing my best not to appear small. I must say, you have shown some amazing restraint for someone with such few options available to them. So, why are you here? I don't suppose you've come by to just chat, And if I have? For a moment, as the conversation takes a dip, she looks almost disappointed, but it does not last long. Leaning into her desk and dragging her claws against the surface, she chuckles, replying, "I suppose that we all need a break at some point." Letting out a small huff, I do my best not to fidget as she leers at me. Her wiry smile not indicative of anything but the power that she wishes to exert. "I hear you've taken up your new position well. I'm glad to see my intuition was correct. Are you enjoying it?" Out of all the things that she said in the short time that I've been here, that shakes me the most. Fun doesn't seem like something that she'd care to factor in. I am, yes. The director and I get along quite well. Thank you again for the opportunity. And your time since we last met has been fruitful, I hope? Busy, but not without reward. Oh? Her grin tells me everything that I need to know. Don't push it, human. And your accommodations? All fitting, I suppose? Leaning over a bit more, she eyes up my uniform. Yes, everything has been taken care of. As I like to hear. Reaching over, she grabs her cup and takes a sip of something before leaning back and massaging her brow. Speaking of your director, things seem to have cleaned up a bit since last we met, so I can only assume that I have you to thank for that. Although, I do think that taking a day off right before a Sockno's executive shows up may have been a bad decision. You heard about that? I'm always informed when the security doors are opened. It's not safe traipsing around down there, you know? You're lucky that Mayron's undergoing repairs. It was my decision to open them. I forced his paw. Then you're lucky no one got hurt. But really, Tucker, taking a day off at a time like this, whatever could have given you that idea? Leaning over her desk, her smile cuts across her face like a knife as her eyes play murder in the space between. I don't budge though, not a fucking inch. With a short breath, I let out a small huff, and I know my answer. Well, I suppose we all need a break at some point. Like nails on a chalkboard, her claws arc across her desk as her paw balls up. Any trace of mocking humor now gone from her face, replaced with stoic anger. Enough pleasantries. Why are you here? Maybe I pushed it a little too far, but fine. I want answers. It seems like I won't be the only guest here for long. Mind telling me what's coming our way? The Sockno's executive? You came here for that? Tucker, if you wanted to waste my time, we could go back to talking about your date. Did that come out right? You're not worried about it at all? Even Tira's scared. Seno gets flustered if a document is out of place. Of course I'm not worried. Last I saw, it's some high-ranked nobody who's been sent here on a fool's errand to do void knows what. Just because he might have some credence coming from Heron doesn't mean that I need to suddenly turn the station upside down for him. Frankly, they could send the director himself and I still wouldn't care. The director? Huh. The head of Sockno's operations, Tucker. Our boss. And you're sure he's not coming? If I had that thing on my ship, I would crash it into the ground myself. No, it's just some lower board member from Heron. I believe that I've met him once or twice before. Some awful gala or something. Director Jorst. His deeds are about as forgettable as his name. Short, portly fella. He's got a few degrees in quantum physics, but nothing more. It pains me to say this, but he's half the man Seno is, so sending him is more of an insult than anything. So, why all the fuss then? Rhoun's been freaking out about this since they learned about it, and Tira even longer. An inquiry is an inquiry, Tucker. While I might not respect the man, when he's here, he speaks for all of Socknos. It wouldn't be hard for him to replace anyone on the station. Well, present company excluded. So they're right to be worried. I'm starting to think that maybe she's just not worried, and instead she's just tired of all the paperwork. Then why all the secrecy? If he's just some nobody, then how come this is the first time that I've heard his name? Socknos is as Socknos wants, Tucker. I cannot divulge company secrets any more than the next in line for my station. I highly doubt that. Still, if the orders come from above, then I guess I can understand it. Do you think that he's just here for Tyr, or you? It's possible. I've done my best at clamping down on all communications to and from the station since you've arrived, but accidents happen. Mind you, If I found someone intentionally broke the silence, well, they wouldn't be working here much longer. Like here, or anywhere. The wicked grin on her face certainly tells one story, although... So why haven't you told Soknos about me then? Taking a more relaxed position, she slumps back slightly and begins tapping her claws on the desk again. Because it's in both of our best interests if they stay out of the way. Why? Why? Because they meddle in things that they don't understand. Isn't that what's going on in the basement right now, though? A scowl crosses her face as she rolls her eyes. Propping herself up, she leans forward and gestures out with her paw. The difference, Tucker, is that Senno knows what it's like to take a life, and it haunts him. The higher-ups from Heron simply wish to play God without the consequences. Anyways, better he do it here where I can keep a watch on him rather than some other warden. I didn't think that you cared that much about his work. Don't let him think I do. I'll never hear the end of it. I simply have a debt to pay. The room silences as she turns towards the window and lets out a short sigh. Staring up at the void with her, I can't help but feel small all of a sudden. This world has played out for as long as its own, and I am merely an interjection. But no peace can be found here, not yet. So what? You just do your best until Soknos gets in your way? It's not just Soknos. It's more complicated than that, Tucker. And no, I will not be getting into the minutiae of Karain social economics to explain that. Just know this. There is always someone working with you and always someone working against you. But why? Why work for them then? Because I need to see this through. I do my best not to flinch as she slams her desk with her paw. A snarl is quick to fade as she lets out a small huff and centers herself. And so do you. What is she... I think I get it. So that's it then. All of this was over... the May run, not you? Yes. I have no doubt that when they find out that you are here, things will get... complicated. But until then, you have nothing to worry about. Nothing except the May run? What? Are you afraid of it? It ruined my life. You're not the first person to say that. Anyways, don't be intimidated by it. It took over 100 cycles for this to happen. I doubt anything extraordinary will happen anytime soon. The way the words slide off of her tongue make me think otherwise. So, we just wait until Soknos gives Tyr the go-ahead to keep working and then what? Pray? Pray? What a silly thing to do. The room falls flat as we stare each other down from across the desk. The frown on her muzzle twists into a rather wicked grin, and I can't help but think that she's enjoying this. So, what then? What now? You already know the answer, Tucker. We wait. Once Soknos has finished throwing their little spat here, as they have done so many times before, we can get back to work. You mean Tyr can get back to work? You seem to be putting a lot of faith into a man that you hate. I don't hate him. I've just known him long enough to come to find him wanting. And how long is that? 2 lifetimes at least. More half answers. This really is just a game to her, huh? I feel as though I need to ask the right questions to cause her to slip up. Or at least until she gets angry enough to belt out a truth or two. What's this all for, though? All this? The charades, the inquiries, the subterfuge. Surely you want something from it all, right? Her jaw moves under her skin as she chews on some thoughts, perhaps redacting whatever truth she wants to bite off. With a rogue glance at the window behind her, I think she finds her answer. Freedom, ideally. Freedom from what? It's not from anything. It's for everyone. For the people burning up on Irium, for the citizens choking on Io, to those struggling on Reich. Be careful, you're starting to sound an awful lot like Tyr. Rolling around, she turns away and leans her head up. You know, every time that I look up, I'm reminded of it. How it's always there, just staring at the back of my head. I thought that we were talking about the May Run. I ask as I follow her gaze skyward. Oh, we are. Do you remember our last conversation, Tucker? I asked you what you thought of the eye. Has your opinion changed? It has. Has yours? No. But I do think about it more often. And? It was once God. She replies almost lackadaisically. And now? Well, that's to be seen, isn't it? And yourself? I do expect an answer. I don't think that it's lonely anymore. Oh? No. What I thought was loneliness before is something else. It feels closer to envy. But for what? I don't know. Her claws tap rhythmically on her armrest until coming to an abrupt stop, as she turns back to me and says, You'll get there, I'm sure of it. Well, with that out of the way, did you have any other questions for me today? Or have you sated your curiosities? She leans over the desk again. I cannot but roll my eyes. At least she's enjoying her little game, even if she's the only one playing. What do you think that I should do while the executive is here? Rhoun thinks that I should stay out of the way until they're gone, but who knows how long that might be. You should stay out of the way, Tucker. Weren't you listening? I don't want Socknose on this station any more than you do. But the fastest way to make them go away is to stay out of their way. I think that she can tell that I don't quite like her answer, as she continues. It's a big station, Tucker. If you refuse to stay in your room, just do your best to avoid them, alright? A bit embarrassed, I let out a small scoff and look away. It's fine. It's only temporary. Eventually, whenever Socknose is done here, they'll go back to doing whatever it is that they do. It's not like Rhoun really needs me to help out after all. He got along fine before me and they'll get along fine. Is there an after me? Captain? Yes? What's your plan for all this? You'll have to be more specific. For me, being on the crew, working, scurrying about as you put it, I don't know if I see a future for myself, but for some reason, I feel as though you do. I hope I didn't just agree to play this little game with her for the rest of my life. I've said it before, Tucker, but you really are worth keeping around. Whatever plans I may or may not have for you should not prevent you from living your life as you see fit, now that you are here. Now, that is not to say that I am without an answer. But, for now, I think it's best that you and I just keep an eye on one another. Yes, Captain. Good. Now, if that is all, I do have to get back to work at some point today. Mulling over her cryptic nonsense, I'm not sure there's anything that I can say that'll get any more out of her today. I have enough to think about as it is. No, Although a thought does strike me, something that threw me off earlier, and one that I'm not sure is worth bringing up. One last thing, actually. I'm just curious. You asked me about this earlier and I can't help but wonder, do you enjoy this? You asked me if I enjoyed my work, and I can't help but wonder the same. I do hate when my words are thrown back at me. But at least you picked the right ones. Yes, I do enjoy it, Tucker. Why do anything you don't enjoy? Do I miss the simplicities of being a guard? Of course. But I know my place, and I hope that you do too. You could always take a break. Don't push your luck. Don't worry about me, Tucker. It's unbecoming. Unlike your guardian, I'm completely capable of taking care of myself. Now, I believe you were heading out. A little flustered, all I can do is nod as I begin to make my exit. Although staring out the window one last time leaves me stunned, as the eye blinks out of view, only to shimmer back. A pulsar? Huh? Taking my leave, I make it halfway to the door before... Oh, and Tucker? Yes, Captain? Don't ever try to walk into my office unannounced again. Is that clear? Yes, Captain. Good. Dismissed. Well, I think I got out of there pretty unscathed. Still, there is 1,000 thoughts racing in my mind, and I don't know what to do about it. I could tell Rhoun what I learned, but I don't know how much he'd be able to help. Maybe I should see if I can set up a group dinner again? Although, that last one didn't go so well, actually. Fuck. What am I supposed to do? It's like she cursed me with knowledge, but she didn't explain shit. I'm almost worse off than when I went in. No, this is fine. I got the name of the executive, so I can at least inform Rhoun about that. And I have a plan as well. As long as I'm out of the way, everything should be fine. No, this is fine. I got the name of the executive, so that I can at least inform Rhoun about that. And I have a plan as well. As long as I'm out of the way, everything should be fine. I don't even think that she really cares if I'm out working, as long as I don't get caught. I mean, that shouldn't be too hard. As long as he's not down in the tunnels, I should be fine. I still think this is a bit too much subterfuge over something so benign, but the captain knows more than I do. So I'll follow for now. I just don't understand why she's so afraid of Socknos. She works for them, and yet I feel like she resents them. Void, she clearly resents them. Maybe I can ask her about that next time, or I could always... Oh, there you are, little comet. I've been dying to meet you. To be continued. Thank you for reading. Written and illustrated by Cryptid. I'd like to give credit to... I still don't know how to pronounce that name. For the fantastic menu art. I'd like to thank Randall for the amazing amount of work that they've done proofreading. Thank you to Davey Odell for the music. And thank you to Zoe for the sound edit. Thank you all of my Patreons. This project would be impossible without your support. And special thanks to Winter Answer, Marcy, Nefarious, and May. May our roads again cross. Yee. The one thing that they told you to do and you couldn't do it, Tucker. Literally minutes later, like a minute later. Although, it kind of sounded like the person that she was referring to was a certain little Shiba Inu that Tucker ran into first, but I'm probably confusing him with someone else from another route. Like, how would I know what's happening in other routes? You know, except for the fact that Cryptid tells me what's happening in the other routes. But anyways, yeah. Oh, my back hurts. 3 hours recording. It's probably going to be a little bit shorter than that, but still. So finally, we got our little date with Rhoun. And even though it didn't go quite as well as Tucker or some of us would have hoped, I think it did go well enough. And at the very least, it did improve the connection between Rhoun and Tucker. By which I mean the fact that Tucker more or less helped Rhoun confront one of the things that has been bothering him for a long time, which is the whole incident at the gravity well. And by more or less kind of forcing him to confront it, he kind of took the first steps in being able to accept what happened and perhaps not moving on from it, so to speak, but being able to accept it and being able to finally stop dwelling on it. Yeah. I'm wondering exactly what happened, but I probably wouldn't ask Rhoun right now. But I can probably guess that it had something to do with the May run being on, and then people that were in that room having something happen to them, obviously. But having something incredibly unpleasant happening to them. But yeah. What else? The issue of Kess. I'm obviously going to go through what I read right now, which is the whole update. So I'll probably be talking about stuff that I already talked about in other outros for these videos, but like, whatever, it's my video. I can do whatever the fuck I want. So Kess. I get the feeling that what's going on with Kess has more to do with the fact that now somebody is kind of stealing his friends from him. And that he doesn't quite know how to like express the fact that he's angry that Tucker is now Milo's friend and Rhoun's friend too. When from what I could see, it was just Kess, Milo, Rhoun. Now it's Rhoun with Tucker, and Milo was friends with Tucker, and now Kess is there thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be phased out, or they're gonna be paying so much attention to him, I can't wait until he just becomes, like he said, a novelty so that I don't have to, you know, be vying for attention from these people, even though, like, they're still your friends, dude. And I kind of get the sense that Rhoun and Kess might have had this conversation already. That Kess might have aired his grievances with Rhoun about the whole situation with Tucker and what's going on, because if you recall before, Rhoun was like really jazzed about Tucker meeting Milo and Kess, saying like, oh yeah, they're like my best friends, we hang out a lot, we play, I think it was Dungeons and Dragons, I don't remember, but like they spent a lot of time together, all three of them. And when Tucker started hanging out and then started working, it kind of looked like he was sort of like butting into their time, because they haven't done that recently. And like, yeah, like maybe Kess has been noticing that and has been internalizing that a little bit too much. Because again, like, Milo and Rhoun are still your friends. They're still your co-workers. Rhoun is still your boss, But that's not going to change just because, you know, Tucker is there. But as Rhoun was saying, and I think Milo too, because of how Kess is and where he comes from, it's harder for him to make friends. And Tucker's presence is very threatening for him. But yeah. Um, Also, finally, you guys get to see that Milo is actually a hyena. He's a Karain hyena. I don't know if you would call him a striped hyena because he does have stripes all over his body, but he is a hyena. So yay! Hyena representation. And it's Milo, so I'm happy. What else? The captain. Not really sure what to make of her yet, at least what she has planned for Tucker. But like in no uncertain words, she basically said like, don't worry about what I have planned for you yet. We'll get to that later. Is there music here? Or is it not available? It's not available. I want to play Of Power, that's her theme song. But yeah, speaking of her... What other songs are in here? Yeah, let's set the mood. Speaking of her directly, it's clear that she has her own little things going on, her own reasoning for having Tucker still in the station, for not, like, throwing him out an airlock or whatever. She doesn't view Tucker as dangerous. Maybe a little bit impulsive, maybe a little bit like Rhoun. Scattered, I guess. A little bit like a kit, as everyone seems to think of Tucker as like, oh, you kit. Meaning like, you child. But, I don't think that she has anything bad planned for Tucker, or she really has anything bad to say about Tucker. But she... I don't know, it's hard to say what exactly she's thinking right now. But it's clear that she does have his best interest at heart at the moment. Because it is her best interest that he is safe, but that he's also out of the way, that he's not just messing things up too. Because it is her ship, and she is connected to it, so literally anything that happens, she is privy to it. So I'm more than certain that she probably has her eyes on wherever Tucker is at any one moment during the days. I mean, because he's still an alien, and although she probably knows that he is harmless by himself, still gotta keep an eye on him. Not only that, but I'm probably certain that she was aware when Tucker was wandering around having his little, night terror / sleepwalking episode. But yeah. What else? The new guy. The husky that showed up, because he is a husky. I'm assuming that's the Socknose representative, unless I misremember what Cryptid told me. I mean, he doesn't spoil things for me, but he does sort of hint things. But yeah. I did call him... The only reason I gave him that sort of voice was because I said so I forgot how I said it. Was like, who's this gay little guy? This gay little husky. It's like, oh, like he didn't correct me, so I'm like, oh, so he's gay. I'm just kidding. So I mean, like, oh, so I get to give him a gay little voice too. But yeah. I mean, he is on the promotional artwork, so he is kind of the antagonist right now, in a way. If you haven't seen the promotional artwork, I'm gonna put it right here. Right now. See it? So yeah. Anywho, so, what are your comments? Write it down in the comment section, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Roads Yet Traveled yourself, or get up to date with whatever's going on with it, you can do so by going down into the link in the description, which should have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download the game and play it yourself. And if you would like to support the project like I do, and like so many other people do, because this is an awesome visual novel, you can do so by going down to the other link for their Patreon, where you can subscribe and get early access to Build a Road Yet Travel, since, I saw this a month before. And depending on the tiers, you can actually get your name on the credits, or you can even get like a little image thingy, on the credits. But yeah. What else? If and when I have time, I did have planned to read Maruk's route, starting from when you and him become roommates. Although I might might fast forward that a little, because a lot of that ends up becoming like the very, very similar. So I might ask Cryptid where would be the best point to start reading his route. But that's just going to be for channel members. Speaking of which, channel members, in case you want to become a channel member, then the link will be posted down there. And also on the main page for the YouTube page, my YouTube page, and it should appear even on the video thing. It should give you the option. But just in case it doesn't, it's down in the description, as well as my Ko-fi in case you want to support me through there. Becoming a channel member does support me, and becoming, or just, donating through Ko-fi also supports me. It helps. It really does. Trust me, it does. Also, Rhoun, somebody recently bought all the books that I had on there. So, time to find more books. But yeah, trying to build up my furry collection before, it becomes illegal to do that. But yeah, I like having physical media. God, I can't wait for the merch for this visual novel to appear. I know he's working on it. But anyways, so yeah. I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.